Where does school safety rank among the concerns of Denver Public Schools staff? Depends on if you ask the superintendent or the report he was given. Laramie, Wyoming, host to one of the most prominent anti-gay attacks in U.S. history. 25 years later, the city's queer community endures.
I think I really wish people just knew how tight of a community we are, how resilient rural queer people are.
It's the kind of correction we all want to see on our energy bills. Some Excel customers are getting money back thanks to those new smart meters. Hundreds more are getting an unexpected charge. $8,000 buys a lot of diapers. How about a lot more? A word on your efforts to support families in need. Next. The Boulder King super shooter is competent to stand trial. A judge issued that ruling within the last. Still reading through the 13-page ruling. The case against the shooter will continue, but the judge noted the defendant must continue medical treatments that got him back to competency. The concern is he may regress without treatment in jail. A preliminary hearing, the mini trial to determine if there's enough evidence to go to trial, that will take place next month. Denver Public Schools has tried very hard to keep private what we're about to reveal. Earlier this year, in the aftermath of a shooting inside East High School, the district paid for and eventually received a report outlining the concerns of high school leaders. That report was the result of more than 150 hours of interviews. Up until now, any details of that report have remained confidential. As Chris Vanderveen shows us, the new details appear to contradict what the district superintendent told us just last month.
You're nervous, you're anxious, you just want to see your kid's face.
Let's go back in time to offer some perspective. Denver Public Schools was in the midst of a crisis. 2 deans shot inside East High by a student on a safety plan.
Are you mad?
Yeah, frustrated.
2 days later, the principal of McAuliffe Middle School put his own job on the line when he told us the district had denied his request to expel or even suspend a student charged with attempted murder.
When I heard of what happened at East and I recognized the similarities to the situation that we're working with here at our school, it really hit a nerve.
We did stories in other schools facing similar concerns, all telling us the district wasn't listening to them. And then sometime in the spring, DPS asked an outside consulting group to interview school leaders in an attempt to document their thoughts. Problem is, to date, the district has refused to release the now finalized report, citing attorney-client privilege. And then last month, Superintendent Alex Marrero told us the concerns documented in our reporting were overblown.
We have over 200 schools. You're hearing from a couple.
He told me if safety inside schools was a top priority among his employees, he wasn't hearing about it.
I visited 2 schools this morning. I asked that question. Not one posed that as a priority. Over 24 schools visited. Perhaps one named safety as their #1 priority.
And yet those words don't seem to mesh with the report handed to the district. How do we know? Because this week we obtained a draft of it. It contains numerous and specific examples of a district not paying close attention to the concerns of its own staff. Some examples. Page 3, the community of students have lost confidence in our ability to secure a safe learning environment. Page 5, school leaders are not able to elevate students who engage in multiple violent actions to expulsion hearings. Page 6, requests for expulsion for weapons are consistently denied. Page 9, it is harder to return to play sports after a concussion than to return to a classroom after a threat of weapon, violence, or a significant mental health episode. Many of the stories echo what we've heard from employees off camera, that the district continues to place potentially dangerous students in school environments that threaten both the student and the school staff. It feels like the message is, deal with it, or we're not provided with training, support, or consult with our most difficult behavior situations. Through sources, we've learned the draft remains consistent with the final report, a report the district has now refused to release to the public for months. Chris Vanderveen, 9 News.
We should note the author of that report, John Youngquist, is currently running for school board. He did not want to comment for our investigation. DPS issued a statement this afternoon that read in part, the sole purpose of this assessment was to seek out the safety concerns of our school community in conjunction with the development of our comprehensive safety plan. That safety plan was released in June. Green burials involve natural ways to return a body to the ground. What investigators have found in a Colorado funeral home that specialized in green burials might be classified as not natural. Sheriff's deputies say reports of an odor led them to investigate a funeral home in the town of Penrose, south of Colorado Springs. Inside that funeral home, they found more than 115 bodies that were being, quote, improperly stored in a 2,500 square foot area. The business called Return to Nature Funeral Home advertises so-called green burials where bodies are not embalmed and sometimes buried in those wicker caskets. The registration for the company expired last November. Local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies are investigating but are not sure if a crime has even been committed. There have been no arrests so far. The Fremont County Sheriff said the investigation is focused on identifying the bodies and notifying the families. The trial of 2 officers charged in the death of Elijah McClain is nearing an end, with their defense attorneys not calling a single witness. That would suggest the defense believes the prosecution failed to prove their case. The defense tried and failed to have the case dismissed after the prosecution rested. Even after that motion was denied, Aurora officer Randy Rodema and former officer Jason Rosenblatt did not take the stand in their defense, nor did any defense witness. Prosecutors called witnesses that gave varying testimonies. The doctor who performed the autopsy said the cause of death was the ketamine injected by paramedics, while another doctor said it was a combination of the ketamine while being violently subdued and restrained by law enforcement. The paramedics involved will face trial later this year. The jury has off until Tuesday because Monday will be used for attorneys and the judge to work on jury instructions. Today marks 25 years since one of the most horrific anti-gay attacks in our nation's history. The murder of Matthew Shepard made the name of the Wyoming community where it happened synonymous with hate. Cole Sullivan is in Laramie, where young queer people say their town is not what you think.
Today, there are pride flags in the same town where Matthew Shepard was tortured, beaten, and left to die for being gay. LGBTQ leaders here in Laramie want you to know there's still progress to be made, but this isn't the same town it was 25 years ago.
Laramie's downtown hasn't really changed.
Yeah, pretty much the same.
But when Nicholas Jesse walks the streets of his hometown,
Yeah, and this is a sign too.
pride is something different.
Coming back, I was like, wow, like there's actually like visible queerness here now.
Queer acceptance in a place known for the opposite.
Yeah, I was 5 when Matthew was murdered.
Matthew Shepard, the 21-year-old whose murder 25 years ago this week shocked the country. He was beaten so badly, the person who found him thought his body was a scarecrow. The attack still haunts Laramie. Jesse sees it whenever he mentions where he's from.
Sometimes people are really blunt. Do they still kill gay people out there?
And so they were a symbol against hate.
Tying yellow armbands to his memorial bench is one way Cora Wolfgang honors Matthew Shepard's memory.
I think it's a part of our identity, if you like it or not.
But Wolfgang says there's more to Laramie's LGBTQ identity than flowers on a bench. And the idea queer people don't thrive here is not true.
No, I've been here for 10 years and I'm going to continue.
They know Laramie still has progress to make.
That visibility matters, and the more we can provide in that visibility, even though it might seem small, it makes all the difference in the world.
Visibility, Jesse says, isn't always there.
Yes, very anti-hate, yeah.
The town's mural honoring allies who blocked anti-gay protesters at Shepard's funeral is tucked away in an alley.
It's very much in the closet, in a way.
A closet he wants people to know Laramie is coming out of.
I think I really wish people just knew how tight of a community we are, how resilient rural queer people are.
LGBTQ organizations here plan a week of memorial events starting on Sunday. They say they want to acknowledge the past, celebrate the progress, and push for still more positive change. For Next, I'm Cole Sullivan in Laramie, Wyoming.
Matthew Shepard's legacy extends beyond Wyoming. After years of stalled congressional efforts, President Obama signed legislation in Shepard's name in 2009. It allows federal penalties for attacks based on a victim's sexual orientation or gender identity. Former Republican Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters has been fined more than $15,000 for an election she ended up backing out of. Peters faced multiple campaign finance complaints because she ran for re-election in Mesa County for months without filing the necessary candidacy form and reporting money she received and spent. Peters ended up dropping out of the race for Mesa County Clerk in 2022 to run for Secretary of State instead. She lost in the Republican primary in that race. Before she joined Secretary of State, she faced complaints for running for clerk and soliciting donations without filing the required campaign finance disclosures, the forms that say, hey, I'm a candidate, and the receipts of campaign contributions she received and money she spent. An administrative law judge fined her $15,400. This is separate from the ethics complaint accusing her of accepting more money in gifts than state law allows from MyPillow guy Mike Lindell, who was funding her legal defense. We want to say a quick thanks for all you've done to make this week, all you've done this week, that is, to make sure low-income families don't have to go without necessities for their children. Since Wednesday, you've raised more than $8,000 to support our latest micro-giving campaign. Here's Kyle with an update.
Thank you for being with Next while I'm away. Colorado's largest diaper bank has really grown with the need over the last few years, and that's why WeCycle is featured in this week's Word of Thanks micro-giving campaign. WeCycle a few years ago was serving 789 kids a week, and now it's 2,000 kids a week with diapers and formula and clothes, strollers, cribs, pack and plates, all the things that families need in order to have a safe and happy and healthy baby. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491 to join me in supporting WeCycle as they now work in 40 counties around Colorado.
Colorado's plan to reintroduce wolves to the state lacks one crucial thing: wolves. Until now.
The letter states that an upcoming bill may show a significant credit balance.
Well, she's one of the lucky ones. Hundreds of other Excel customers are about to have unexpected charges, but not as much as they could be. And it's Friday. Let's end on a high note, a celebration of good news and a very special birthday. Next. It's the season's hardest to find gift. But Colorado just tracked down some gray wolves just in time for the holidays. Oregon will give Colorado Parks and Wildlife up to 10 wolves. Oregon apparently has plenty to spare, but Colorado is in charge of rounding up the animals and covering all those costs. This comes after multiple states said no to helping the state fulfill a voter-approved plan to reintroduce gray wolves to western Colorado. The animals will be captured and relocated between December and March. It's an understatement to say Colorado ranchers are not crazy about the idea, but Parks and Wildlife said it's going to try to bring in wolves without a history of attacking domestic animals. We're getting some feedback that doubles as a state geography lesson. Don't worry, we're not going to give a pop quiz. In a report last night, I referred to Woodland Park as being in southern Colorado. Sophia, who was born and raised in Alamosa, close to the New Mexico border, wrote me and said, "My entire life, I've always seen articles written about southern Colorado when in fact these towns are only south of Denver. Woodland Park is kind of central Colorado and definitely not southern." Okay, it's on the cusp. I get it. It is in central to Colorado, but if you cut the state in half from top to bottom, Woodland Park is just the start of the southern half. Kathy, I want to bring you in for this because when I worked in Colorado Springs, anything south of Monument and the Palmer Divide, we called southern Colorado. Now, Sophia, I get it.
Yeah.
I'll think twice next time, but is the Palmer Divide the division of northern and southern Colorado?
You know, I always leave it to the locals, Marshall. If she lives there and what she says goes. You know what I mean?
That's Marshall under the bus.
No, I would never do that to you. No, it's different schools of thought. You know what I mean? But I think you're right. It is on the northernmost cusp of southern Colorado where we do the cutoff.
Then again, we would never say Denver's northern Colorado, I guess. So from that standpoint, we're going to have to change our terminology.
See? Isn't it fun?
No.
Buena Vista, Buena Vista. There's a lot to unpack with town names and, of course, areas across the state, but I always leave it to the locals and go with what they say. Hey, how about this? We have clear skies now after a cloudy, cool Friday. Temperatures trending well below the average of 70 today. We were in the 50s, and we've got a frost advisory tonight, but we're back to sunshine and 70s for your weekend. Sun just set in beautiful Fort Collins tonight. We have clear skies, light winds, temperatures in the 50s, so we don't have far to fall. Do you know that was almost a 20-degree temperature drop over the last 24 hours with the arrival of that early front? You can kind of see it, just a little bit of wispy cloud cover around a center of circulation in the Midwest. It's headed for the Northeast and could create some flooding issues and major airport delays from Minneapolis, Chicago into New York. But we've got high pressure over Colorado, and after a cold start tomorrow morning, sunshine and low 70s for your Saturday. Denver under a frost advisory tonight, a freeze warning for northeastern Colorado. Temperatures could trend below 30 degrees, so tender plants and vegetation will need protection. Temperatures are going to stay in the 50s until about 10 o'clock tonight. Your 7-day forecast, 72 Saturday, close to 80 Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Changes with the next storm we're tracking coming in Thursday into Friday, and a chance of rain showers. But what I hope will be a winning forecast for our Broncos when they take on the Jets on Sunday afternoon. Marshall, 76 degrees with sunshine for kickoff.
Man, those temperatures are not going to match the field. That's going to look like a snowscape. Excel says a technology issue means their average billing plan was a very rough average. Hundreds of customers got surprises in the mail, some of them good, most of them not so good. And nothing says good news like a birthday party. A Denver jazz icon has had 103. Our favorite Friday tradition next. Smart meters are supposed to make billing smarter for Excel. For a handful of Excel customers, the installation of their smart meters outsmarted Excel. Hundreds of customers who signed up for average monthly billing for a predictable dollar amount every month are about to receive an unpredictable bill.
I have 2 years worth of data here.
Throughout this year, we have tried to uncomplicate your Excel bill. Average monthly payments, where customers pay a set amount each month, is one way Excel tries to uncomplicate your bill.
When you started doing your stories, I actually pulled out bills from the previous year and compared month to month from 2022 to 2023. And I started doing that after your reporting because I was curious as to what was actually happening.
Lori Grove became even more curious after this notice came in the mail.
The letter states that an upcoming bill may show a significant credit balance. So I called Excel to find out what the story was and was told that we had about a $550 credit.
Excel called it a technology issue and told me it's an issue with the installation of smart meters. Historical customer energy use information was not saved in the exchange of old electric meters to the new smart meters. 97 customers, like Lori, were overbilled. 609 customers were underbilled. They did not pay Excel enough for what they really used. An Excel spokesman tells me those customers will be billed, but only for half of what they were underbilled, not the entire amount.
It is a very good gesture to take half of that off, especially coming into the time of year that we're coming into, right? With the holidays and all that kind of stuff. This could be a hardship for families.
I asked if Excel needs to report this to the Public Utilities Commission. An Excel spokesman told me the company is not required to, but did in this case because it notifies the PUC about large-scale issues that may result in customer questions.
I don't think they should report it only because they're afraid they're going to get tattled on. I think that it should have been reported regardless, because it's just good business.
It turns out Excel notified the PUC after I asked if Excel has to notify the PUC. Lori told me her credit is dollar for dollar. Unlike those who are underbilled, who are seeing their bills slashed 50%, she is not getting a credit plus 50%. Feedback coming in. I think one of them's about what I'm wearing, but wait till you see the sweater Marissa is wearing.
We're so stylish.
Each week, we like to end on a high note, leaving you with some good news as we celebrate a birthday of epic proportions with this 350 straight weeks of good news. This week, students at the Charles Burrell Visual and Performing Arts campus in Aurora celebrated 103 for their namesake, jazz icon Charles Burrell. He's a classical and jazz bass player who broke barriers when he became the first black musician to join a major American symphony. The students put on their own musical performance for Burrell, got him a cake to celebrate 103. Eat it up because there are no rules when you reach 103. I'm going to be selfish with feedback tonight. Trisha, Marshall, love the outfit. The sweater is perfect for a cozy fall day. Carlos, very cool sweater tonight. Could you tell me where I can also buy it? Yes, I can. But you didn't ask me if I would. Expressman. And Marissa's sweater tops mine tonight. We'll see you next time.